Good evening and welcome along to Kick Off here on talkSPORT. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me this Monday evening it is Darren Lewis and Danny Murphy. Now, the world of boxing, indeed the world of sport, was stunned by the news yesterday that former world champion Ricky Hatton has passed away at the age of 46. And as we saw before the Manchester Derby got underway, they held a minute's appreciation, but that minute lasted way longer than that, with fans of both clubs just wanting to show their support for a man who unified, certainly, that city. Joining us to reflect more on this sad news is talkSPORT boxing host Adam Catterall. Adam, good evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Natalie. How are you?
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Well, thank you for joining us. Obviously, it's never nice to come on under these circumstances, but I'm sure you'd love to sort of pay your own tribute and tell us about the Ricky Hatton you knew.
No, absolutely. And like you said, it's never pleasant to come on when news like this drops, especially off the back of a fantastic weekend. I was in Las Vegas for talkSPORT for Canelo versus Crawford, and obviously Terence Crawford did a wonderful job there. And in the early hours of Sunday morning, as I was talking to fight fans from the UK, sat in a bar as you do when a big fight in Vegas has just happened. Done it many times when Ricky's been there. That news came through and knocked the wind out of everybody's sails and really did deflate the night. And it just didn't seem real for such it still doesn't seem real now, you know, like you've just mentioned there. He's 46 years of age, and this is a man that I started following as a fan. I was lucky enough in my professional career to interview him on several occasions, and as time has progressed and relationships have built, I've been lucky enough to have a bevy with him in a social environment. And he was exactly what you imagine him to be. Every single boxing fan has a Ricky Hatton story in some way, shape or form. And the reason for that is because he was real, he was accessible, he was one of us, a true man of the people. And when people talk about people's champions, that's exactly what Ricky Hatton was. He didn't just win belts, he won hearts. And he's going to leave a massive, massive hole in the boxing community.
You talk about Vegas. Obviously, he had that incredible fight there where thousands and thousands of British fans went out to see him, unfortunately lose. But still, what an incredible kind of, I suppose, when you think about, as I say, the thousands that went out there, it just goes to show the love that they had for him, that they were all prepared to travel so far.
Well, I think you touched upon it in your opening gambit there, Natalie, right? He was a staunch Manchester City fan, and that would normally divide. He had this unique ability to be able to unite Manchester United fans, Manchester City fans, Liverpool fans, all travelling worldwide to go on these fantastic trips to watch Ricky Hatton do his thing. I remember the first time I saw him, I actually missed his first fight because he was on the undercard of Prince Naseem Hamed, who I was a massive fan of. And Ricky was on the undercard there, and he stopped a guy within 1 minute, 30 seconds of the first round. And I was with my dad. I was only 17 years of age, and we were actually on the concourse getting some refreshments, let's just say, at that time. So I missed him. And it was a little bit later on that I got to see him really grow from those local shows like at Bowlers and Oldham Leisure Centre to being the headline act at the MEN. And it was really unique. Frank Warren did a wonderful job with the promotion of Ricky. And Ricky did this himself, of course, with just the way that he was as a person. He defended that WBU belt on several occasions in front of his Manchester fans, both Manchester City fans, Manchester United fans, Liverpool fans, whoever they were. And that's what it was. He created this football environment in boxing, and it was a night out. It became an occasion. I remember on one occasion, my friend's girlfriend at the time was looking for something to do for her 21st or 22nd birthday, and I suggested, why don't we all go to the fight? Why don't we all go and watch Ricky Hatton? Let's get a box between us all. And everybody jumped in, boys, girls, old ones, young ones, doesn't matter. Everybody wanted to be on that Ricky Hatton train. And you've just pointed out the Vegas stuff. The way that it built in Manchester was incredible, from 1,000 people to 5,000 people to 10 to 20. And then when we went to Las Vegas for the Floyd Mayweather thing, I couldn't get a ticket. That's how much it had grown. I couldn't get a ticket. I watched it in one of the bars in Las Vegas, and they were packed because everybody just wanted to be around it. I was lucky enough to go to the Pacquiao one. I said lucky enough because obviously it wasn't a good night that for Ricky, but that will never be recreated. He is if there was ever a signature song that was so apt, it is the one that the fans sing when Ricky's in town. There's only one Ricky Hatton. There really was only one Ricky Hatton. Nobody's ever going to be able to do what Ricky Hatton did, uniting that fan base and taking that amount of fans across to Las Vegas and various places in America to fight in those backyards. It was just truly a remarkable time to be around.
There was a prevalent moment I read. I don't know if you saw the post that Darren Barker put out earlier, Adam, he was asking Ricky about how he would like to be remembered. And he talked about just being mentioned in the same breath as some of his heroes was one thing. But one thing that stuck with me was when he said he was doing a little tour with Frank Bruno, going around shows and stuff and speaking, and everyone kept referring to him as our Ricky. And he said that was special to him because he felt like he was one of them. Everyone felt like he was their friend. Yeah. And I thought that was just sums it up. And because I've experienced that with, just quick story for me, I was early 20s in Manchester with a couple of friends of mine, and we bumped into him and some of his friends in a bar, and we ended up spending the whole night going around to different bars together, having a dance and a few bevies, as you do. And we ended up in a place, I think it was called the Press Club back then, years ago in Manchester. Yeah. And he was talking to me about, because I was asking him about boxing, so we'd had a skinful. And he was telling me how effective the body shots were, right? And I was like, do me a favour, because he's not the biggest lad in the world, is he? No. Anyway, from nowhere, just because this is the type of humour, he hit me with a body shot. And all I remember was looking up at the roof it was a carpet, I think they had in the Press Club back then, and I was just couldn't move on the floor, looking up to the roof in this Press Club, and he was standing over me laughing his head off with his mate, because he obviously, I was at Liverpool then and he was Man City, but he was just such good fun. Yeah, so warm.
I've no doubt, Danny, that he told you that it was your round next as well after doing that to you. But that was him. You've nailed it. That was it. He had such an unbelievable, wicked sense of humour. You just talked about the after-dinner speaking and the tours that he went on with other fighters. He could have done stand-up, Ricky Hatton. He was that funny. His timing with just the way that he was with people, he was so accessible. And although, listen, I know that doubt that he came across you, Danny, from obviously playing at Liverpool and that familiar face. Didn't matter what level of person you were in society, what job you did or anything like that. Ricky Hatton had time for everybody, and that is why 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people were prepared to put their hand in the pocket and travel halfway across the world to watch him fight.
It was also the reason why my newspaper, I know the Sun downstairs also had 8 pages, and their front page, our front page was R.I.P. Ricky, really did devote a huge amount of the column inches to someone who was very popular right across the piece. A couple of questions. One is the celebrity. I mean, I was looking at some of the tributes that were paid to him, and there were people outside boxing and outside of sport as well. Soap stars, he's dancing on Ice Partner, you know, lots of different people. I just wondered if you could talk about the impact that he had outside of sport, because I see him as a sporting icon, but he did have that impact. And the other thing is there, you're the man in the know in terms of boxing, Adam, is there some sort of tribute being organised to pay to him?
Well, it's really funny you just said that, Darren, because I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine today of what needs to be done in order to really pay homage to Ricky. I mentioned a moment or two ago, he built himself at the MEN Arena. It's no longer called the MEN Arena, it's under different sponsorship, but the arena's there. And I know that we've got a bigger arena now next to the City Ground, which Ricky didn't fight in. I think we need a statue, man. That man, what he did for the city of Manchester was incredible. He brought everybody together. He made everybody feel good. And I've said this many, many times in talking about it over the last 24 hours. People forget what you said. They forget what you did, but they never forget how you made them feel. And Ricky Hatton made you feel a certain way, whether you met him in a bar, whether you were stood in the bleachers watching him fight. That night against Kostya Tszyu was just something that I will never, ever forget as a fight fan. And I hope, whether it's the boxing community, whether it's the Manchester Council or something like that, they've got to build a statue for Ricky Hatton.
There's a talkSPORT campaign right there, isn't there?
There you go.
I think
it's got to be erected outside the MEN, without any doubt.
I mean, his humility in the interviews we see a lot of now, his past is there for all to see. But I still think, I don't know, maybe it's depending on what age you brought up, but when you talk about the best English boxers, I don't necessarily mean even from a technical point of view or whatever, but I think he jumped to the first place in most people's minds, well, certainly people of my age, because of that journey you're talking about and that way he had the way of captivating people. I mean, obviously, Adam know more than I in terms of who was the best boxer if you go back years and years. But I think a lot of people, would be fair to call him, if not the best one of we've ever had.
With the affection that people have for him. Yeah.
I think you nailed it there, Natalie. Most loved, definitely. I mean, I always refer to three fighters when people ask about me getting involved in this sport. And my dad was a massive Mike Tyson fan. So in the late 80s, Mike Tyson captured my imagination. Prince Nazim Hamed made me fall in love with the game. And Ricky Hatton was the fighter that made me spend my hard-earned cash to go to the events because of what he did, you know? And it was just an incredible experience to be around and watch his career rise to the big night against Kosher Zoo, but then obviously the two that he had over in Las Vegas with Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And the more I think about these moments, obviously you smile because they happened, and it's very hard to be sad now that you know that he's no longer with us. But I just wish that he could have been here to listen to all these tributes that people are paying to him, you know, because he has... listen, massively. I've been lucky enough to interview him on several occasions, and he was very open speaking about his challenges in life since his career. If he could sit here now and listen to all these people pouring out how much love they've got for him, it would just be unbelievable.
Just sort of briefly on that then, is this a wake-up call that boxing, or indeed sport in general, needs to do more to help these sports people when they've come to the end of their careers?
I think sport in general, you know, it's a very difficult thing. And listen, Danny, you've been there, you've been a sports star, and recreating the highs of being on that pitch, recreating the highs of being in that ring once the time is done, is a very, very difficult thing to do. The amount of guys that I speak to, and girls, that struggle when their careers come to an end. I think Ricky, in being very vocal, open, honest, vulnerable with the way that he's spoken about those challenges since his career did come to an end, will absolutely have helped a lot of people down the line. It's just a sad state that we now find ourselves talking about a man that's no longer with us, who was 46 years of age.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Adam, we really do appreciate you sparing the time to speak to us about it. And as you say, you were in Vegas when the news broke. We should just quickly ask you about that occasion in Vegas with Crawford beating Alvarez.
Oh, it was a fight for the ages. We had two guys there that are in the top 10, pound for pound. Terence Crawford coming up in weight and doing what he did in that fight against the poster boy of boxing, definitely Mexican boxing, in Las Vegas on a Mexican holiday weekend is something that will live with me for a very, very long time. It was a masterclass performance, and we've crowned, in my opinion, a new pound for pound number one. There'll be people that argue with me and maybe bring up the name Alexander Usyk, and listen, you're well within your rights to bring it up because he's a super talent himself. But what Terence Crawford did at the weekend was incredible.
Yeah, superb. Adam, thank you.
Cheers, Adam.
Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Cheers.
Just a reminder that DAZN brings you over 185 fights a year and an undisputed schedule featuring stars like Dave Allen, Joshua Boazzi, Jaron Ennis, Nathaniel Collins and more. So sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Boxing Update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
OK, you're tuning in to kick off here on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. On the way next, there's a new term being coined, Arnie time.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.